Matt, we wanted to bring you on because we want to talk a little bit of 7-on-7 football. I know you and I come at this from different ways. I need to say that I have a complicated relationship with 7-on-7. I don't dislike it. I think that's key to say because I'm always in favor of football. I'm just not sure that there's a ton that can be gleaned from it. But I want to hear from you, Matt Stepp. Why does 7-on-7 football intrigue you so much?
Well, the first thing is we have the very controversial opinion at Dave Campbell's Texas Football that football is better than no football.
Yes, that's a real hot take. It's actually, I believe it's under the masthead of the magazine this year.
Yes.
Yes. So even though 7-on-7 is not real football, there is a football being thrown around. There are pass routes being run. There's secondary coverages. Now we don't have the linemen, but so from that perspective, it's kind of football. So therefore it is football. So I do enjoy that. For me personally, I enjoy it because it's competitive. Spring football is nice because it's real football, but it's not quite as competitive because you're playing against each other. In 7-on-7, you're going against somebody from a different school. So there's competition there. So it does get intense and heated at times. And I like that. I like the fact that I can go to a place, a tournament on Saturday and see 16, 24, or 32 teams in one place and really gather a lot of intel. It's not quite the intel that you would directly translate to the fall, but I think you can glean some things, especially if a team runs their offense and defense in 7-on-7. For example, the last couple of years, the Woodlands and Austin Westlake have gone to the state 7-on-7 tournament and gotten all the way to the championship game. And they had pretty good seasons the last 2 years. Westlake and the Woodlands, ironically enough, they won the 7-on-7 state championships, and back-to-back years they lost in the 6A Division II state championship game. So in that perspective, I think it does. Those results can be translated, but it's because the Woodlands and Austin Westlake run their real offense in 7-on-7. They don't run a quote-unquote junk offense that's only for 7-on-7. It doesn't translate to Friday nights. They run what they run on Friday nights in 7-on-7.
Now, I do know that, and I think there's some confusion about this, that 7-on-7, the coaches cannot be there coaching. They have to be off the field. So, or they can't be directly involved in this because of UIL rules. So for you, does that take anything away from the experience that you can have at a 7-on-7 tournament?
In a way, it can, because you have sometimes former players or booster club members or parents that are coaching the teams. But from a media perspective, I love it because the coaches are there. They're still there watching their kids, and I can really glean and talk to the coaches for 20, 30 minutes in a very, very relaxed setting and really kind of get some nuggets and some intel that you can use in the fall. From a fan perspective, it affects it a little bit, but there's still a lot of schools are running their offense, running their defense, and you can see some things that may translate into Friday night for sure.
I want to get specific on that. We're talking with Matt Stepp, DCTF High School Football Insider here on DCTF Live. Get involved with the conversation, #DCTF Live. You mentioned there's some things, Matt, that you can glean from it. Can you give me maybe an example or two of one thing that you're in particular kind of keyed in on and that you want to see when you're watching 7-on-7 that you can say, okay, that is the kind of thing that does and can translate into the fall?
Number one, I think for sure it's an offensive game, so quarterbacks. You can really see, progression of quarterbacks, especially younger quarterbacks. Let's say, I remember, for example, Shane Buechele, when he was a sophomore, was very good at Arlington Lamar, but you could tell he hadn't quite grown up yet, and the difference between the summer of his sophomore to junior year was just staggering. He had really matured and grown into an elite recruiting prospect and an elite high school quarterback. You could see the throws that he could make and the way that the ball just kind of popped out of his hand and really got to the receivers quickly. You could see those kinds of things really, really well. And I think the wide receivers, you can really see guys who it's a smaller field, so the speed guys sometimes don't always have as much of success as they would in real football because they have more room to work with in real football. But the bigger physical receivers can really make an impact. And so I like to watch those guys and see, their ball skills, how they catch the ball in traffic, how they handle defensive backs trying to rip the ball out of their hands before they catch the ball. So Those are the two things I look for: is the big outside receivers and the quarterbacks for sure.
So what you're saying is that I should embrace 7-on-7 football and just go whole hog into it and just say, you know what, what you're saying, I need to get on board this train.
You know, Greg, you're a busy man, and I don't want to tell you how to spend your summers for sure. But I think me and Max are more hashtag Team 7-on-7 than you are, and that's okay because 7-on-7 is not for everyone. If you talk to coaches, it's very, you know, there's a camp that's for it, and there's a camp that doesn't really believe in it. I actually, when I look at it, I kind of fall a little bit more towards the believe in it side, but I'm not completely. You know, so you can't take it for. At face value. You can't say, oh, this team, because they're good at 7-on-7, they're going to be good at real football. I think you have to really watch what they're doing and say, okay, this is what they do on Friday night. It translates. I think they're going to be good. From the perspective of just something to do in the summer, I love it because Saturdays, it gives me a chance to go out there, talk to guys, really, you know, get a feel for the season. It's almost like the appetizer. You know, you go to a good Mexican restaurant and you're looking forward to those fajitas and those enchiladas. I'd say 7-on-7 for me is like a really good bowl of chips and salsa.
Yeah. You know, but that's
maybe some queso.
Boy, I've got to say that's the kind of metaphor that wins me over. He's Matt Stepp.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the only bad part is the heat.
Yeah.
Man, you go to state 7-on-7 for 3 days, you're gonna cook. It's like 8 hours, 9 hours in the sun.
It's miserable. But I will say the qualifying tournaments are nice because they usually start about 9 in the morning. And most teams are done by noon, so you can get out of there before it gets just brutally hot. Now, the state tournament in College Station, you're going to be miserable. I'm sorry. If you go to state 7-on-7 in College Station, prepare for 2 or 3 days of absolute misery. But the qualifying tournaments, they're not so bad. You can, in most cases, get out of there by lunchtime, and you're you busted a little sweat out, but you're not just absolutely miserable. Me and Max are state 7-on-7 veterans, and that third day when you're just looking at a 3-hour drive back home after spending 9 hours in the 120-degree July heat in College Station, it's kind of a beating. I'm not going to lie.
Less than ideal.
Matt Stepp, DCTF High School Football Insider. Follow him on Twitter at Matt_SteppPapa817. Stepp, appreciate your time. Thank you for all you do to your body.
Oh, I thank you guys for what you do to your bodies because you're not really doing much this time of year anyway. So, you know.
It's still real to me. Thanks, Stepp.
Bye, guys.